You spent 2 years and your entire savings making your feature film, submitted it to Sundance with all the hope in the world, got rejected, and now you're wondering if this whole film festival game is just rigged against indie filmmakers like us. Well, it kinda is, but not in the way that you think. Today I'm breaking down the American film festival ecosystem, which festivals can actually launch your career, and most importantly, how to stop thinking like a romantic artist and start thinking like a strategic filmmaker who actually moves their projects forward. Once you understand how this industry really works, you can start playing it strategically. Hey, I'm 𝐏𝐸𝐿, and I'm a filmmaker and producer and probably someone who's made every mistake in the book. I've been writing and directing indie projects for over a decade now. My first feature film, 𝐿𝐷𝐷𝐷, premiered at South by Southwest. I've consulted in writers' rooms for Issa Rae, and I've had my work license on HBO and Amazon. But before all that, I was just some kid from Miami with a BFA in theater, a camera I didn't know how to use, and way too much ambition. Today I'm breaking down the unspoken hierarchy of film festivals that nobody really tells you about when you're starting out. And I'm going to give you the exact roadmap I wish I had when I was first getting my feet wet. At some point, we all got to stop living in our artist bubble, where we think our pure creative vision is going to somehow manifest opportunities out of thin air. You made your feature film, it's beautiful, your mom loves it, your friends say it's better than anything they've seen on Netflix. So why isn't Sundance calling you back? Here's the thing, festivals aren't just about good films. They're about relationships, timing, marketability, understanding where your film fits in a very specific ecosystem. The film festival world operates on tiers, and each tier has its own unspoken rules, its own gatekeepers, its own opportunities. Once you understand this hierarchy, you stop wasting resources and you start building realistic strategy that can actually get you where you want to go. You're probably thinking, what the hell are these tiers and how do I know which one to fit in? Great question. Here's the breakdown. At the very top, you've got what I call the big five: Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, Berlin, and Venice. These are the festivals that can literally change your life overnight. Emphasis on the can change. Even that's not realistic. Distribution deals happen here, fewer each year. Careers are made here, but let's be real. As an unknown filmmaker with no major backing, your chances are essentially 0.001. I'm not saying this to crush your dreams. I'm saying this because once you understand how it actually works, you can make smarter decisions. These festivals have existing relationships with production companies, sales agents, and filmmakers who's proven themselves. When Park Chan-wook or Ari Aster have a new film, you think they're submitting through Film Freeway? Like the rest of us? No. The festival programmers are in conversation with their producers months in advance. Even the more indie sections of these festivals, like Sundance's Next, is backed by established names in the industry. You may not know that first-time director, but look a little closer, and those producers are people like Barry Jenkins, Charles King, Steven Soderbergh, to name a few. Your chances of getting into one of the big five as an unknown filmmaker, less than 1%. And I'm being generous. Out of 15,000 submissions, they program about 120 features and maybe 70 shorts. Do the math. Now, before you close this video thinking I'm crushing your dreams, stick with me, because understanding this is not about giving up. It's about getting smart. Between those untouchable top tier festivals and your local downtown film festival no one's heard of, there's this whole ecosystem of legitimate career building festivals that want to discover new talent. This is your sweet spot. This is where careers also get built in the American landscape. I'm talking about festivals like second tier powerhouses like South by Southwest, Tribeca, amongst others. Genre specific gold like Fantastic Fest, Outfest for LGBTQ+, Black Star for Black Cinema, La Leaf for Latinx cinema. Regional heavyweights like Seattle International, Nashville, Cleveland International, and more. These festivals are actively looking for fresh voices. They don't expect you to show up with A24 already attached. They're where producers and reps go fishing for new talent. Those fests are where you build the relationships that get you into those top tier festivals a few years from now. These are still incredibly competitive, but they're more open to discovering new voices. This is where I got my break with 𝐿𝐷𝐷𝐷 at South by Southwest. These festivals are looking for the next wave, not just celebrating the established names. I'm sure you're thinking it's easy to name off the festivals, but how do you actually get in? Here's the shift in thinking that changed everything for me. Most filmmakers approach festivals with what I call an ego strategy. They want the prestige, the laurels, the ability to say their film premiered at Cannes, but what's the point of playing at Cannes if you're on some sidebar program at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday and nobody important sees your film? You spent $50K making your movie and another $5K traveling to France for what? A photo in front of the red carpet? The career strategy is different. It's about asking, where will my film have the most impact? Where will I meet people who can help me to make my next film? Where will my specific story resonate with an audience that gets it? With all of this, we also have to consider what we call the golden elevator. It's when a filmmaker hops from artist lab to fellowship, builds relationships and stamps of approval that ultimately lead to festival acceptance. It's okay to aim for this, but don't depend on it. Too much is out of your control. I was fortunate to benefit from this to a certain extent, as my first feature, Ludi, participated in the Gotham Narrative Labs, where I was able to work on my rough cut, meet programmers and execs, which transitioned into my acceptance into South by Southwest. But there are other ways. This is chess, not checkers. You're not just trying to get into any festival, you're trying to position your film and yourself for the next move. Speaking of positioning, this next point is where I see filmmakers make one of the biggest mistakes, and if you followed everything I mentioned earlier but this step, you would have wasted your efforts. Your film only gets one premiere. One. And too many filmmakers blow this opportunity on the wrong festival because they're impatient or don't understand the significance. Once you premiere at a small regional festival, the top tiers are probably off the table. They want premieres, or at least US premieres if you played internationally first. Now this is largely for feature films, as shorts have a lot more flexibility. Here's the strategy that actually works. Create a submission timeline that respects the festival hierarchy. Start with your reach festivals, the ones that would be game changers if you got in. For most of us making independent features, that's the second tier. Submit to these first, and wait. I know waiting is brutal when you've been working on something for years and you just want it out in the world, but patience here can be the difference between a career launching premiere and getting lost in the shuffle. If those don't pan out, move to your target festivals, the ones where you realistically have a good shot and where your film would still have impact. These might be the genre-specific festivals if you made a horror or a sci-fi film, culturally specific festivals if you're telling stories from particular communities, or strong regional festivals in major markets. Your safety festivals come last. And honestly, sometimes no festival is better than the wrong festival. I've seen filmmakers premiere at festival that nobody's heard of with no industry presidents, no press, no coverage, no path forward. All they got was an ego boost of saying their film was an official selection somewhere or they're an award-winning filmmaker. Don't fall for this trap. But there's one thing that really separates filmmakers who build careers from the ones who make one film and disappear. In this final point, I'll share that one thing and how you can position yourself to always be moving forward with it in focus. Here's the blunt truth. Film festivals are businesses that profit off the backs of free work and or products, however you want to slice it. The majority of film festivals, excluding ones like New Orleans Film Festival, do not pay their filmmakers for screening their films. So essentially, they get this free product, your film, and at the promise of an opportunity in return. They make ticket sales, they get sponsorship deals to feed their businesses, and the filmmakers are left with nothing but a hope that either the project will get distributed, which doesn't equate to any profit in today's market. Filmmakers have been either in denial or ignorant of this reality for a long time. And the festivals depend on our ignorance or naivete to keep feeding into this cycle. The NCAA was doing this for years and finally have been scrutinized. But somehow filmmakers are far behind. When you fully understand this, you can give yourself a healthy perspective on whether the festivals are worth the investment, depending on what that investment is when you factor in travel, lodging, marketing expenses, because once you get your film into one of these festivals, you have to get a publicist, which averages at a minimum of around $6,000 if you expect to get any press. So the money ramps up quick, and there's nothing that makes less business sense than an independent filmmaker making a film and hoping for a career miracle. However, this very poor business acumen is accepted because it's understood that the trade-off is that these festivals are launching pads for potentially lucrative careers in the future. But if you're a data person and you look at the percentage of filmmakers that are pursuing this career and the percentage of filmmakers that receive these lucrative deals from major studios, it is very much still in that less than 5% category. I don't say all this to present a world of doom and gloom, but to leave you with a healthy perspective, because knowledge is empowering, and with that knowledge, you can make a healthy decision based on what your goals are. And that is the key factor. Identifying, crystallizing, and sticking to what your goals are as a filmmaker. If you're fully content with your film being the launching pad for you to get another opportunity in the industry, which aren't guaranteed or mathematically in your favor, then that informs how you invest money into festivals, and which ones at that. But don't just do it off of blind potential and hope. Have tangible data that you can rest your hat on. For example, knowing that there are reps that can introduce your next project to, knowing certain producers and or execs who will be in attendance, and then you're gonna be showing them your next project or your next feature that you have written to start getting conversations made. These things might be worth traveling over to the festival. Here's the breakthrough. Stop thinking of festivals as validators and start thinking of them as tools. A festival acceptance doesn't make your film good. A festival rejection doesn't make your film bad. Festivals are just one mechanism for building a career, and honestly, they're not even the most reliable one. The goal isn't to get into festivals, the goal is to build a sustainable career making films. Festivals can help you do that, but only if you approach them strategically, realistically, and without delusion about what they can actually do for you. But if you do take the festival route, be present. Film festivals aren't just about showing your movie. They're conventions for the film industry. They're where deals get made, partnerships form, and careers get built. But most filmmakers show up, screen their film, do the Q&A, and bounce. That's like going to the networking event and only talking to the bartender. When I was at South by Southwest with Ludi, I spent most of my time in meetings than watching movies. I met with sales agents, distributors, producers, looking for directors, other filmmakers at my level who might become future collaborators. The screening was important, but the relationships I built that week or what actually moved my career forward. This is why picking the right festival matters so much. You want to be where your potential champions are. Sometimes the best outcome for filmmakers isn't distribution for your current film. It's meeting the producer who wants to finance your next one. I've seen filmmakers get so focused on selling the film that they just made that they miss the opportunities to level up to their next project. So let's break down the key things you need to remember about cracking the festival code. First, understand the tiers and be brutally honest about where your film fits. Stop wasting money on irrational dreams and start investing in strategic possibilities. Research festivals that have launched careers for filmmakers telling stories like yours, with budgets like yours, with actors like yours. Second, treat your premiere like valuable asset that it is. Create a submission strategy that respects the hierarchy and gives your film the best shot at building momentum. Better to wait for the right festival than blow your premiere on the wrong one. Third, sober up about what the film festival industry is and where you are positioned on that hierarchy, so you're poised to take full advantage of the system as opposed to the other way around. And remember that festivals are about relationships, not just screenings. The connections you make, the conversations you have, the relationships you build, that's what actually moves careers forward. Your film gets you in the door, but you are what keeps it open. The distance between where you are now and where you want to be isn't as far as you think. It's just that nobody gave you the real map. Now that you have it, the question is, what are you going to do with it? If you want to go deeper into how to actually build that project package, the right materials, how to structure them, how to pitch and position your work, click the link below. I built a free mini course for filmmakers who need that guidance, especially those of us doing this without the traditional pipeline. And if you're ready to start writing but feel stuck on story structure, watch this video right here. I break down what I believe is the single most important screenwriting book today. Until next time, keep creating, and remember, the only filmmaker who definitely won't make it is the one who stops making films. Peace.